Good morning. My name is Joe, and my pronouns are he and him, and I wonder, is it a good morning? What makes something good? Is it a physical characteristic? I'm feeling good. I'm vertical and perambulatory. My bones and ligaments are intact. My muscles are spry. I'm in my 40s, so of course my back hurts a little. My knees are sore like usual, but I'm good. Or is goodness about aesthetics? It's a good morning. Looks pretty out there. Have you seen some of the sunrises this week? Spectacular. Those are good. Or is goodness about pleasure, sensation, gratification? A good meal, a good workout, more honestly, a good shower after the workout, a good nap. Dare I say good sex? Guess I did. Or is goodness about behaviors, actions, and results? Hey, Dad, I was a good boy at preschool today. We're having a good first quarter year over year. I got a good mark on that test. I performed adequately. I got what I wanted. The books are balanced. The results were within the acceptable margin of error. The teacher gave me a sticker because I was good. That's the Batman approach to goodness. It's not who I am underneath. It's what I do that defines me. Of course, that kind of goodness is connected to our sense of morality. Good guys and bad guys, good neighbors, good behavior, making good choices, being good. Good morning. Is it? Are you good this morning? I'm good. I'm good. Pretty good. At least not bad. I know the phrase means, I hope you are having a good morning. Goodness is what I wish for you this morning. But what kind of goodness are we talking about? What makes something good? That promise resounded across the pages of the Book of Belonging reading from the Genesis 1 creation story. Good, 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 good. Ken did a good job of reading it. Translated a bit more directly, God saw everything that God had made, and indeed it was very good. The Hebrew word is tov. Good, pleasant, agreeable, beneficial, beautiful, best, better, bountiful, cheerful, at ease, fair, favor, fine, glad, goodly, gracious, joyful, kindly, loving, merry, pleasant, precious, prosperity, ready, sweet, wealth, welfare, well-favored. Or the first definition there, good as an adjective in the widest sense. This world that God has made, it is all kinds of good. How do you feel about that statement this morning? Part of me is nodding along. Of course, it's all good. God is good. This is what we expect to hear in church. This is what we came here for. And it is what I believe. But there's a part of me that scoffs just a bit. All kinds of good? That's a pretty bold claim in 2026. Oh no, here comes the doom preacher again. For those of you who missed it, we spent all of last summer preaching about doom, or I preached and people listened. And anyway, you came back, that's good. So many things on the world stage are not good. I will spare you the list of headlines, but how can we claim that the world is good when there is so much violence and despair and all the things? And on the smaller scale, it has been a hard week for a whole bunch of people that I know. Anxiety, fear, failure, guilt, death, good morning. Yeah, not for some of us. True story. How do we resolve that tension between the world of goodness as described in Genesis 1 with the world that we live in, of hardship and destruction, here, there, and everywhere? I've just set a giant trap for myself. The philosophy of religion names what I've just described as the problem of evil, the problem of suffering, the problem of pain. Why do bad things happen to good people? If God is good, why do the innocent so often suffer? These are ancient theological problems, not just for Christians, but for all religions and philosophies. And there are very few answers that satisfy. I am nerdy enough to enjoy discussing this kind of philosophy. Apparently, I'm arrogant enough to decide to preach about it. But let's be real, I am not going to solve this great mystery of the universe. So let me lower the bar of expectations here. I don't know the answers to the questions that I'm asking about goodness and especially suffering. I don't have full answers, only starting points. And I do think it is helpful to talk about it, even though my thoughts are incomplete and unsatisfactory. Do with this what you will. What makes something good? I really don't know. But I do have 3 incomplete and perhaps contradictory answers from the Bible, plus a bonus blessing at the end. Part 1 is this Genesis story that we've heard already. Goodness comes in finding order through the chaos. By my limited understanding, the Genesis creation story of the Hebrews was unique in the ancient Middle East. Another famous creation story from that region is the Babylonian mythology of the Enuma Elish, which tells of creation as a battle scene. The god of the wind, Marduk, gets into a fight with Tiamat, dragon goddess of the sea. Long story short, the wind battles the sea, and Marduk slays Tiamat and rips her body in half, creating the sky out of half of Tiamat's body and the land out of the other half. And for good measure, Marduk then kills Tiamat's husband and uses his blood to create servants for the gods, also known as humans. We are children of violence, living in a world born of chaos. That's pretty typical of the ancient world from what I know. And it's understandable, too. I can only imagine how fragile life felt for humans even a few centuries ago. Not that it doesn't feel plenty fragile these days, too. But the Babylonians saw life as chaos, as struggle, where goodness was earned, where the powerful shaped the world as they saw fit, and everyone else fell in line and took their chances. We have echoes of that still today. But against that view of empire and power, tiny Israel told a different story of a world shaped not by chaotic power, but by the order and intention of a single God who has everything under control. That contrast between chaos and order is a big part of what is intended by the goodness of creation promised in the Genesis story. At first, there was a swirling, watery mess. It was somehow chaotic and empty all at the same time. It was everything and nothing at once. But God began to speak, and God's Spirit hovered over the mess like a mother bird over her nest. God sang a love song, and life emerged. God took the mess and made it meaningful. God took the emptiness and filled it with goodness. Is that what goodness means? That life is filled with meaning and especially order? That is how this story was taught to me as a kid. Day 1, light and dark. Day 2, atmosphere. Day 3, dry ground. Day 4, sun, moon, and stars, and so on. There's a place for everything, and everything in its place was the moral of the story. And that's a pretty critical developmental foundation for children. And it sounds awfully reassuring to me as an adult, too. That image of the Spirit of God hovering over the watery chaos, a mother bird sheltering her young under her wings in spite of the messy reality of their nest, that is powerful. I come back to that image at times when my life feels out of control. It all feels so messy to me, but somehow, even in these dark waters, the Spirit is present. And that means, God's presence means that creation is possible, that new life comes out of the chaos. What new creation can come out of even this? That's part of the goodness of this creation story, this promise that God is doing something, whether I see it or not, that there is order to the universe, that there is meaning, spirit above the mess, that creation and new life is happening in and through what I experience as chaos. And there's truth to that, and also tension, because there's a whole lot that's missing from this creation story. Am I the only one who wonders about the lack of penguins in this story? I mean, they're certainly not among the birds of the air created in day 5, right? But they're not exactly beasts of the field or things that creepeth upon the earth in day 6 either. The penguins don't fit this system. Neither do ostriches or frogs or axolotls or duck-billed platypuses, or swamps and sloughs for that matter. I mean, God separated the sea from the dry land, so the Everglades are an abomination. I'm being facetious, but you can see my point, I hope. To some degree, this story offers order by leaving things out. It offers order through assumption and imposition. Life is a whole lot messier than this story allows for. Can something still be good if it doesn't fit into the neat boxes that we lay out for identity and behavior? Some religious folks say no, definitely not. Sometimes religion becomes a tool for conformity. Get in the box, modify your behavior to fit, a way of asserting that God is in control, and so we have to get in line. If we don't get in line, then we are left out. I'm not a big fan of that approach to religion, but that's another sermon for another day. For today, I'll just say that this creation story does not resolve that tension. It makes the general claim that creation is good and that there is an order and purpose to everything, but it doesn't get into the details of how that plays out. If you're unsatisfied with that, me too. There's another way to look at this creation story, though. Where do you picture yourself when you read or hear this story from Genesis? I'm betting that you picture something like this, the view from above the planet, God, creator, looking down over creation from on high, not on a looking down kind of hierarchical thing, but like an artisan at their workstation, the potter and the clay. Genesis 1 is told from this divine perspective. God sees the order of things. God knows how the puzzle fits all together. But the human perspective of this story is so much more limited. We don't even show up until day 6. We're just a small part, so of course we can't see the whole thing. It's like we're standing on one piece of the puzzle, trying to figure out how our piece fits into the piece beside it, let alone into the big picture. The teacher of Ecclesiastes puts that human perspective into words. I have observed the task that God has given human beings. God has made everything fitting in its time, but has also placed eternity in their hearts without enabling them to discover what God has done from beginning to end. Everything fits somewhere. There's this whole familiar list, a season for everything and a time for every purpose, a time to laugh and a time to cry, for keeping and throwing away, for speaking and staying silent, a time for love and a time for hate. All of those extremes, it's a yes and world. Everything belongs. And the teacher says that we know that somehow. We have that sense of eternity, the oneness of the universe that is written on our hearts. But can we see it? Can we make sense of that? Of course we can't. There is an order, or maybe there isn't. We can't know. We are inside the story. We're not above creation looking at it. We are in the creation. We are the creation. And so we can't see the whole thing. We are left to trust. Whatever happens is already set in motion. It's already happened before, the teacher says. It's cause and effect. We are just along for the ride. Or maybe we're not. Either way, all there is for us to do is what is right in front of us, because that's all we can see from inside the story. So is there goodness in creation? Yes, there is. We can see some of it in the work that we do, in the food and drink we enjoy, in the relationships that are right here and now. Is there pain and suffering and evil? Well, yes, we can see that too right in front of us. Which is greater? How do those things balance? Who am I to say? It's a matter of trust and assumption either way. What makes something good? The goodness in things is there because I choose to see it that way, at least in some part. Do I choose to trust in that goodness or not? Faith is the reality of what we hope for. Our faith makes it real. It brings it into being. The proof, such as there is, of what we don't and can't see. One more perspective from John chapter 1. Another familiar and rich reading. We heard this earlier. I won't read it all again. There's a lot we can say about this poem, and I'll focus on that one line in the middle. Everything came into being through the Word, and without the Word, nothing came into being. The word, logos in Greek philosophy, the logic, the reason, the truth, the meaning, was always present from the beginning, and it runs through everything. There is nothing without meaning, nothing without purpose and intent. What makes something good? It's logos, John says. The word ties everything together. The essence of everything is meaning and purpose. Everything belongs. Everything together, that is life and light. That doesn't mean there isn't darkness. There is, but it is not chaos. It is not without meaning, because the light shines in the darkness. That doesn't mean we can see it. Again, this is all vague and abstract, and John accepts that, just like the teacher of Ecclesiastes. Light comes into the world, John goes on to say, but people miss it. We don't recognize the logos for what it is. It actually belongs to us. We share this same meaning and purpose, and yet we don't accept it most of the time. No one has ever seen God, John says, but the Christ, the Word embodied in the person of Jesus, God has chosen to be known. That's a lot of religious jargon. I'll try again in English. John is saying that the universe is full of meaning that we can't always see. But just because we can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It does. And actually, we can see it. It is always right in front of us. In the person of Jesus. John's gospel is the story of God revealed in his friend and rabbi, Jesus of Nazareth. And it's not just in the person of Jesus. The light of Jesus is everywhere. I and God are one, Jesus said. I am in God, and you are in me, and I am in you. In the followers of Jesus, through his teachings, we are connected to that divine word. But even beyond that, again, everything came into being through the word, and without the word, nothing came into being. The divinity that some people recognized in Jesus, that is everywhere, in everything from the beginning, whether we see it or not. As Richard Rohr puts it, Christ is another name for everything. And that is what makes something good. It's inherent. It's built in from the beginning. Christ, logos, meaning and purpose, revealed and enacted in the relationships that make up the whole of the universe. Still with me? I know that's a lot of abstract thinking. Let me recap what I'm trying to say. With the Genesis creation story, I see a universe of order and intent. It's too rich and too messy for our categories and systems, but that's our human limitation. That's not a flaw in creation. Searching for understanding, joining in the order, working to promote order and wholeness amidst the diversity and wonder of the universe, that is goodness. With the teacher of Ecclesiastes, I can see how there is space and time for everything within the bounds of the right time and season. And again, there's order in all of this. Not everything everywhere all at once, but in the right time, everything has its place. Not that I'm qualified to see or understand what the right time is. I can't see from beginning to end. I'm joining the story in the middle, playing out the effect of prior causes. I can't see, I can only trust. And I can affect what's right in front of me to build on the meaning and purpose that is within my grasp. And within the Gospel of John, I am learning to trust that Christ is in everything. I'm learning to see, or at least to look for, the light that shines in the darkness. And I'm learning to see that God meets me in the searching, that somehow there is meaning and purpose in every part of the universe, and somehow, beyond my understanding, it wants to be found. God is being made known. That's what makes something good on a foundational level. That doesn't solve the problem of pain or answer all the questions about the origins of the universe, but I think the goodness runs through it, even the hard parts, the questions, the paradox, and our urge to dive into them. They are all connected to that mystical awareness of meaning in the universe. I don't know, but I do choose to trust. At least 3 or 4 days out of a week. What do we do with any of that? We grow. That's the bonus blessing. The goodness of creation, however you define it, is not static. Movement is the common thread across the three creation scriptures we looked at. Grow and flourish, that's God's command in Genesis 1. To the plants, to the fish and birds, to the animals and the humans, be fruitful, join in the fullness of the planet. Do good, be happy, that's the call of Ecclesiastes. Eat and drink and find satisfaction in what you do. And for all of John's abstractions, in the Word was life. It's life that is the light for all people. Right in the middle of ordinary human life, that is where God sets up a tent. The goodness of creation is a lived reality. And so in our goodness, we belong to Creator and creation, and we do what living things do. We grow and we bear fruit. For the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. That is not abstract at all. May we know this goodness. May we receive and join in with the goodness around us. And may the Spirit fill us with this fruit.